Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, it's the 24th of September. It's just gone 9 in the morning. And this is the state of our speed run. Our rating ladder climb. Coming up off the back of 2 losses and a draw in the last 5 games. That sucks. So we're going to try and carry on. We're rated 1310. We could get anyone. We've got a 1300. Alright, we'll play an E4 opening. Why not? Okay, we've got a Caro. Let's go for the Hennig Gambit. Okay. So now we're hoping they take here. Sometimes you get like, okay, right, this is the Hennig. So we've given up this pawn. We're not attempting to recapture it yet. Instead, we are developing our bishop. Why? To target f7. This is the number 1 move we're expecting. This is the number 2 move. Either way, I'm going to push f3. Why are they going to do that? Because this pawn is currently on prise, and those are 2 developing moves, both of which defend the pawn. f5 would be very poor. As it opens up a diagonal towards the king. Really weakens the king side, so you can say goodbye to thoughts of short castles. Alright, he's having to think. JB666 from the USA. After knocking out all his first moves really quickly, he's just taken a minute. Okay, here in some, like in the von Poppel Gambit, when you have the knight here, that's against the like Scandi, comes from the Black Mardima. Yeah. You can aim to recapture with the queen, hitting both the bishop and that, but because this is the Caro-Kann, they've got the pawn on c6, so recapturing with the queen makes no sense. We would recapture with the knight if they take on f3. They're very likely to do it. I mean, we're now attacking the pawn twice, so we're saying, come on, do it. If the knight comes out, we take. And then I think there's a general idea of putting the queen on f3 and really piling up on there. There we go. We take back with the knight now. Queen still defends d4. We are a pawn down, but look, we are 2 pieces up in development. 2. Black will probably develop next. Now, one of the issues in the von Hennig is this knight being in the way of pushing c3. We quite often end up moving this knight, pushing c3. Quite often this bishop will move again to come back and, oh, hello, target that. Okay. All right, I don't see any reason not to castle here. The knight's fully protected. The queen is free to move off the back rank. And I'm not sure, I mean, this is clearly unprincipled, isn't it? Because he's moved a piece, that bishop now, 2nd time in the opening. Now the knight comes out to f6. Okay, I'm looking at bishop g5. Queen d3 makes sense as well. Still protects his pawn, defends his bishop, still defends the knight. So if I was to play this, am I concerned about the knight coming in? No, well, it can't go there because I'll just take it. And there again, he's just moving twice. So I'm going to develop the bishop first because it's principled. And I can't see a clear benefit to a move like queen d3. So we've played a gambit. We're a pawn down. So we can't just grind the game away and go into a pawn down ending. Doesn't make sense. I'm still on the tea. A cup of black tea here. I've had my breakfast. Wowzers. Right, he's just pinned his knight. Now I can't attack that knight with a pawn. I could attack it maybe with my bishop and my rook, but that would mean moving this knight. So is it time now for queen d3? Getting the queen off the back rank, mobilizing this rook as well. I think it is. I have just blocked off a route for this bishop. This bishop could come back to b3. Maybe if the knight goes around, we could push c3, bishop c2, something like that, teaming up with the queen against the castle king. This knight can't move. Well, it can. It's not an absolute pin. It can legally move, but it would lose the queen in the process. And there's no way for this knight to attack this queen because they're on opposite colours. Would I consider kicking this bishop out? Don't know. Bishop may still come here, actually. Another move that's playable now is knight e5. It's definitely interesting. You can see how there's a lot of stuff then focusing down on f7. This pawn here doing a very important job. But you never know. Sometimes sacrifices can just blow a hole in everything. Let's say like knight here, bishop there. Queen e3 still defends this pawn. Rook could come over. Either rook could come over. I kind of like keeping this rook on the f file. Okay, so it's resolved something here. Now there's a big part of me that likes this move. I could take this move, then take. You can't just recapture because then I'd win the pawn outright, yeah, the bishop outright. So I'm liking this move very much. Also opens up the rook on the f file. So now it's like all eyes on f7, isn't it? 1, 2, 3 pieces looking at it. This queen has many options. This rook may come into play, right? This is Gambit style play. This is what you have to start doing in a Gambit when you play a Gambit. If your opponent plays Gambits against you, you want to get castle quickly, solidify, hunker down, try and exchange pieces off, and aim for that pawn up endgame, or however many pawns they've gambited or pieces or whatever. So I'm attacking this bishop. Do I want to take that bishop? That's the question. I don't know. There, a knight will take. Then we've got tension between these. And they've castled, which is useful. So now it's not really so much about f7, although f7 is still going to find itself in a pin should this pawn ever move, right? I also might have ideas about trying to checkmate on h7, but you say that there's a knight defending that. Well, there is right now. I could eliminate that knight 2 different ways. So maybe what I need to be thinking about is something like moving this knight, playing the c3 move. This does feel slow, but right now I don't know. We have to evaluate how much of a threat is this bishop when it's looking at 2 lined up pawns. Black really doesn't want to do anything with these pawns unless he's absolutely forced to do so. So is there any other way of supporting the queen on there? h3. Bishop's only really got 2 options. Both of my knights are on dark squares now, so I can't move a knight to cover the f5 square. It does feel like this knight is currently weak, so I'm going to move this guy. Might have ideas about maybe coming around here. Could come here. He's also defending this pawn again, it should be noted. Now, this dum. There we go. Bishop has moved there. Notice this pawn is defended only by the queen, so I really have to move to one of these squares. Or there. There's no way to block. I could sack the rook. That is a thought. So let's evaluate that, right? big part of improving at chess is bothering to think your way through moves that you would normally just discard. So if I take there, pawn takes, that means this pawn is pinned. That means my bishop is looking at that pawn and my knight is looking at that pawn. I actually win a pawn as well as the bishop. So let's think this through. This rook goes there, it gets killed, that gets killed. So my queen is on this square and these pieces are off the board. Okay, so this is the practice, is visualizing. What does that look like? Well, this pawn is still here. I've then got a queen and a bishop looking at this knight, but it's defended technically 3 times. I like this in general. It solves one problem, which is the slowness of kind of rerouting this bishop around to c2. That's 3 whole moves. I don't know if I can afford that. But this now pins the pawn. So I get a bishop and a pawn. My queen is super duper active. I don't have to take this back straight away. I'm not going to jump at that. I've got ideas like rook f1 or rook e1. But now also I've got queen takes f5, then bishop d3. Then the threat is I take the knight and checkmate on h7. I can take this, that's defended by the knight right now. I might still push c3. c3 isn't necessary right now. Yeah, I think so. Now I am down an exchange, because I won my pawn back, but I gave up a rook for a bishop. So I'm still down in material, but what I have is activity. Lots of activity. This pawn is pinned. I may play the move c3 at some point, but only if I have a really good idea I need to use this knight in the attack. It feels like, you know, that is an attacking piece. These are definitely all attacking pieces. The threat is this. Bishop here. He may then just be forced to move a pawn, like g6. I don't think I mind that, you know. I can drop back, maybe drop the bishop into h6, try and sneak the queen into g7 with mate. This knight is not yet involved, this knight is not yet involved. So I've traded material for activity. And that is a conscious and deliberate act. What could this knight do? Does it have a role here? Jay is having a jolly good think now, which is no bad thing. You could think about rook d1, defending the pawn. That's a thought. Put the knight here, challenge the knight with my knight. Let's say my knight was on here. He takes, I take, queen takes back. If my bishop was here, could maybe do that. So I'm thinking this bishop move, bishop d3, looks nice. I might use the knight to eliminate this one. Having said that, if I've got to be careful, because I've got to be careful about this move. Okay, I'm going to do that without thinking. Yeah, because now this pawn is no longer pinned, right? He's now free. So, I've got to be careful if this knight moves about a pawn fork on f6. Just saying. But now we have a meaningful, clear and present danger, right? We're going to take this knight. He can't recapture because it's mate. That's the issue. So I think he's going to have to push a pawn. And I think that h6 doesn't work because the same thing happens. You get matified. So I think g6 may be forced here. And if g6, I've got maybe the idea of knight f4. Notice if queen takes this pawn, it comes with a check. I'd have to move probably into the corner. I have the option always of pushing c3 and building a little pawn chain. That costs a move. The big question is, can I afford to use a whole turn just to shore up my pawns? Okay, here we go. There we go, g6. As expected. This pawn is defended. This pawn's no longer pinned. So, I mean, if it was, I might have ideas of this. Check, forcing the king into the corner. Don't know. Okay. So can we add another threat? We can't pin the pawn on the king. I'm very much disinclined to sacrifice more material. So I'm thinking queen f3 or queen h3 look the most natural. Here, I think a natural looking move is bishop h6, hitting the rook, force the rook out. And I don't have a really easy route into g7. This might be one way in. If I take, they should take with the h pawn really. My queen moves here. No. Okay, I'm going to move back to, I think, h3. And one reason is I have the option now of rook f1. That puts two attackers on the knight. But g6 is weakening, and it's weakening in particular the dark squares around the king, obviously. I still have a dark squared bishop. I still have a looming queen. This pawn is still defended. So this is by no means clear. I'm still down in a whole exchange, although my opponent isn't yet using this knight or this rook. So he's playing with only half his bits. Knight attacks this, it's defended once. Hello, right. He's looking to trade stuff off. And I'm thinking, nah. Thinking, surely I have to do this now. This will probably force the rook to e8, almost certainly. I don't think this knight has improved its slot. It can't get there because my queen guards. It can't get there because of the b pawn. I feel like I need to bring this rook in. 100%. See, after the rook goes there, this pawn will be defended only by his match, right? So then rook f1, queen f3. Should I have played the queen to f3 previously? Well, I wasn't expecting this move. Okay, off goes the rook. Now I'm thinking rook f1 puts immediate pressure on this pawn. I'm simply threatening to take it, probably with a knight. Look, it's a semi-open file. I don't see a threat. Knight there isn't a threat. Knight. You know, my opponent's pieces are relatively passive. The knight is probably the most active of all. This bishop is not on a sexy diagonal because it's just bouncing off the sides of the board. Bishops can be good in these kinds of positions, but they're generally better kind of focusing down at least on one of the pawns near your opponent's king. And this just ain't. Now, f6 or f5 could be ideas, but again, we're really kind of creating space around that king. My knight could come in, maybe in conjunction with c3. Notice that the queen's attack on d4 is blocked currently. Still kind of looking for ways to get my queen into there, or at least threaten to get my queen into there. See, with all this defending my opponent's had to do, he hasn't had time to bring these two pieces into play. And that's kind of critical. Currently, all of my pieces are involved. This knight arguably is... There we go. Right. Yeah, saying this knight arguably is the weakest. But these bishops are doing a good job. My queen's doing a good job. This opens up queen e6. Check. And I believe that forces king h8. And I believe I then have a royal fork. Yeah. Always look at what changed. In the words of Jarvis Cocker, something changed. I wrote this song 2 hours before we met. Something like that. Okay, queen here. Right? What can block? Nothing. King can't go there. He can't go there because of queen. Can't go there or there because of bishop. King goes in the corner. Right, established. Queen e6 check. King in corner. Check. I think the only legal move is for the king to go back to g8. Then I can take the queen with the discovered check. He has to move again back into the corner. Then what's going to happen? I mean, I could say, oh look, I've won the queen, and for free. I mean, the opponent might just resign. But I'm currently enjoying thinking one little bit more. Forced, dang, forced, takes queen, back into the corner he goes. There he goes, right? Check. He's going to come back here. I do this. He has to go back into the corner. I can bring my knight back with another check. And he's just resigned. Well, well, well. That was a beauty. That was a beauty. So let's go back. Let's go back. I really strongly recommend you do this with all your games, right? When you get a win, when you get a loss, before you just sit back and let the fish do all the heavy lifting. Why was that game won and lost? Right, we're not gambiting a pawn at this point. Now we have. Now we've said, I'm not even going to bother recapturing. The machine says that black is slightly better here because the machine loves material. Because when you can plan 20 moves deep, material makes a much bigger difference. So this is one of the more common moves, right? The other one is knight out here. So if you're not familiar with the von Hennig Gambit, I've got a whole playlist on my channel for the von Hennig. Lots and lots of games and quite a bit of theory as well. So, in this instance, we push the pawn forwards. Computer still has 0.6 in black's favour. Okay, and they normally take, and now we take back with a knight. Okay, so what's the situation? We're a pawn down, but we're 2 developments up, and we're ready to castle. Okay, so what we have to do, these are imbalances, right? There's an imbalance in black's favour, which is black has an extra pawn. Okay, which pawn is it? Well, it's kind of one of these two, right? The imbalance is in white's favour. Better development, ready to castle, right? So what we have to do, when the imbalance that's in your favour is better development, then what you need to do is press forwards and try and press your advantage in the game. Okay, he now moves his bishop another time. Mistake. No, blunder. You know what I've missed? You know what I've missed, don't you? You know it. Move 7. I was railroaded here. I was thinking, like, castles, good move. What have I missed? Bishop takes f7 check. It's only the best move in bloody chess, right? King takes, we take here. Okay, and look, we're +4 now. The king has to move again. Can't move back there, he'll probably move back here. And then probably queen takes there. And actually that is a winning position. And that is a donkey derby of a move to miss that. Anyway, I castled. But I only noticed it because the way the eval swung. And I went, oh! Okay. So more development. Slight pressure. Ooh, it didn't like that at all. It did not like that at all, Precious. Okay. No, we're not going that. Okay. So we're not actually analysing with the machine yet. It did not like that move. What's wrong with that move? Is it because this was still on? Yeah. So I missed it twice. Check. Fork. The classic von Hennig pattern, it was just delayed. He put his bishop here first, then he moved his bishop to there, and I just simply forgot what I was doing. Okay, let's say king goes back there can be quite dangerous, like this, and then if black's not careful, queen e6 is mate. So anyway, back to our story. So this is my blunder. And I'm talking about lining everything up against f7, aren't I? There you go. Okay, decent move from black. Black's equal. Bring up my queen. It doesn't like that very much. But after this, now it likes white a little bit. And I'm coming forwards with my pieces. Doesn't approve terribly much. Trying to improve my poor knight. Again, it doesn't like that move. But ours not to reason why. And do you approve of the sack? No. It's got one, black is effectively one pawn better now after this. Well, still one pawn better. Okay, I take that back. Computer still disapproves. Wow. But remember, you're not playing a computer, you're playing against flesh and blood. It still looks pretty... Computer says that's alright. I attack the rook. Rook moves. Again, I'm just, boom, I want to line everything up here. It's all about using my pieces because it feels like in this game, I've got two more pieces than my opponent does. Yeah, I've given up a rook for a bishop. But we'll see. This pawn push, and that's it. Forced mate in 5. Okay. And what was this about? This was about rook f1. Putting super pressure on this. What can he do, actually? He can block here. That's probably better. Okay, well, let's take it over to a full analysis board and we'll check it out. Okay, roll up, place your bets. Accuracy. Well, I missed my favourite move twice, which is inexcusable. But I would still say that was a 1600 game from me. So 75 accuracy. Ew, 63 and a 1250. Bitch. Well. Okay, so let's go through now with the full fish. Yeah, I know it's inaccurate, but I'd play it anyway. That's also inaccurate. Best move here is g4. Very odd move that. I might look into that line. I've probably looked into that line. But this is what I know. And bishop g4 is a mistake, and I should know it's a mistake because it's the entire flipping point of playing this gambit. But dopeysaurus here missed it. That's a miss. That's a blunder. And there we go. That's all right. Okay, so I've completely lost the plot twice there. Excellent move. And that's a great move. Threatens to win a knight. Yeah, well, I'm threatening this, kind of this. And that's a blunder. Because I can eventually capture a free bishop. So I screwed up here. What did I screw up? Let's see if we can guess. Nope. So I take, he takes. I win the bishop. Yeah, that is one of the simplest tactics of all, removing the defender. I take, and I'm threatening to take here with a fork, right? So he's got to recapture with bishop or pawn, certainly bishop. Yeah, bishop is the only move. Oh, actually now it's saying rook takes here. If queen takes, then I take? Wow. So it wanted me to sack the rook earlier on. Yeah, definitely not my finest hour. So fish, I accept the issue. Okay, that's a good move. Queen b3 it likes. I don't know. So it's still got black slightly better here. Shouldn't have took the pawn. Still queen b3. This pawn is kind of doubled. I don't get queen b3. I mean, yes, we're targeting b7 pawn. So let's have a look. Queen b3. And they've got to be careful here. It's saying knight d5 is the only... Or queen e8. Let's go back to review. And here. And let's say... Best move is that. Show moves. Go on. Fishy business. That's what that is. Okay, anyway, I took the pawn. And now we're nearly 2 pawns behind. But that's a miss. Should have tried to trade off the knights. Best move. We've got a serious threat now, right? Removing the defender of this. Sometimes I remember removing the defender tactic. Sometimes I just don't. This is the only move for him to play. That's the best move. Happy about that? That's okay, but we're now even. Even Stevens now. Bishop h6, best. You're down in material, you don't want to make equal trades. Absolutely not. Particularly your dark squared bishop when your opponent has got dark squared blooming Swiss cheese all around his king. Rook moves, offs. This is a mistake. Huh. I was never going to play that move. I mean, that's the kind of move I would never even consider. And of course, then the blunder comes. So, yeah, I got a bit lucky. I definitely missed some stuff there that my opponent permitted. But I was happy to see the finish here. And then, so, okay, so how does the checkmate work? We don't even take... Wow. That's interesting. And this is a mate in 5. Well, that's going to go in my mate in 5 study. Really fascinating. Yeah, but the idea of finishing with the queen here and the bishop here. Absolutely deadly pattern. So yeah, still not, you know, I mean, winning that game with a 12.50 guess at ELO, wouldn't be playing like that on coffee, would I? It would all have been done and dusted by now. But anyway, I'm going to persevere with the tea. right? And rely on my knowledge and my mental discipline rather than like the artificial anxiety caused by the coffee and that kind of energy caused by the coffee. So let's see what the real Hunty's got. We'll keep going. I'm going to do at least a week without the coffee and see if we can pick up. But not there yet, but a result's a result. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.